You're listening to the Unsung Podcast, where we talk about albums that we think are unsung classics, and then you guys tell us if we're right or wrong. This is the Unsung Podcast. You're listening to the Unsung Podcast, and this is episode number 42. On last week's episode, we discussed City by Strapping Young Lads. The public have decided that it does indeed make it into a discography, so thank you very much to everybody who voted and everybody who listened. On this week's episode, we're talking about Black Sails in the Sunset by AFI. And before we go into that, I just want to urge you to share this podcast with your friends. We would really appreciate that. Thanks. And now, on with the show.
Alright guys.
Alright guys.
Alright guys.
Alright guys.
Right, guys.
Alright guys.
Why did mine get a laugh? It's no more ridiculous. Geezer.
You're listening to the Unsung Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Fraser.
Brexit, innit?
And I'm joined by two guys who like peas.
Oh, fucking love peas. Peas and ham and gammon.
Like a good bowl of peas, mate. Good honest food, innit? Good honest food.
Good British food.
Good for the bones.
Good fucking British
Good for the
fucking
bones.
poo.
Fucking
yeah,
French.
peas.
Petit pois. Petit pois. Fucking petit pois. Thank you.
So to my right we have Weatherspoons fanatic and Brexit minister Chris Cusack.
I prefer the term devotee.
That sounds a bit French to me.
Shit, merde. So we, to my right is David Weaver, and we were just having a chat about the fact that you can remotely terrorise Weatherspoons customers with unsolicited bowls of peas.
Yep.
Using the Weatherspoons app. Now, obviously, this gives money to Weatherspoons, so we don't encourage that because the guy that owns it is a cock. But it is quite funny to think of just randomly sending a plate of peas to a table, especially if you stand outside the window
Watch
and just watch it happen.
And they what? No, I mean, just keep them.
Can we have 2 spoons?
But I mean, it's not just peas. They don't have an app just for sending peas to random tables.
They should have just that
You
app.
can order.
Can you order?
You can go into Weatherspoons
extra
and
portion of
order
butter?
to your table, so you don't have to go and speak to a human being.
No,
It's actually pretty good.
I understand the purpose of the app.
Yeah,
I just think its application
I have sent weird things to people.
is so much better when you're using it for mischief.
Yeah, it's ideal.
Yeah. Well, what other things could be sent to a table? Can you get?
You can get just like send baconaise, like a tub of baconaise, a little. What's the word for those little a ramekin? A ramekin of baconaise. You can send a child's milk.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's the most kind of like what thing you could send to somebody?
Oh, I've tried. I'll go
this?
through my history and I'll tell you.
And
But,
Weatherspoons, good luck trying to do us for this because frankly, we're making you money.
Exactly. All we're doing is buying things from you.
Advertising your stupid ass service that goes to fund your stupid ass owner and his stupid ass beliefs about Brexit.
Anyway, we won't have peas when Brexit happens.
Nah.
We won't have food. So, you know.
Back to the 16th century British fare of tree bark.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can't wait to barter. This could be ideal.
Barter my way.
Do you know what? I
to a rowing
genuinely
boat at the
think.
coast.
I genuinely think if we all know that the Remain thing, what do you call like
Somebody that doesn't want to leave the EU.
no, like what they did, their
Referendum?
Voting? Democracy. 2 syllables. First one.
My brain has absolutely died. You can cut all this out. But
I actually don't like it.
When you the fuck I can't even describe what I want to describe.
Dave's having a stroke.
Can you lift your arms?
Can you smell burning toast?
That's why you tune in, folks. This kind of quality dissection. So yeah,
you're going to introduce him.
Have you ever seen the end of Children of Men?
My brain has absolutely died.
The end scene of Children of Men, where
yes.
they're grown up, that's literally going to be the 3 of us. Become Brexit. Actually, being the black girl and not the short version of Clive Owen. Mark, you can be my child.
The short version of Clive Owen.
Short version.
The short. I thought I said short, and I was like, I don't remember that.
No, but I clearly believe that if Remain had made more of the fact that roaming fees would come back
on the phone, and you'd have to pay for your phone again in Spain, I reckon that would genuinely have swung that, 4%. You know what? In terms of real world applications, the kind of numpties that voted to leave, that probably is higher up on their agenda than the lives of immigrants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who needs a pan-European peace for 7 decades? Fuck! I didn't realise you had to pay for.
Fucking ridiculous!
Check my football.
She's fucking texting me, Dad, a Smileys, 45 pence.
Anyway, welcome to Brexit.
Luckily, I got
Welcome to Brexit, the podcast.
The sun free at the airport. Good old free sun at the airport. Do you pick up the fucking free sun at the airport? Does anybody do that shit?
I've seen people do it. I've never done it myself.
Oh, I fucking want to burn the lot of it.
I know, it's shit, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Anyway, this week, this week we're doing
That was
Brexit.
actually quite good. I feel a little bit like more relaxed in the back of that.
Oh, we're doing Black Sails in the Sunset by AFI.
Fire inside.
Fire used to be it's weird, that, isn't it?
Or also
They kind of changed their name and then kind of changed back to it recently.
asking for it. Anthems for insubordinates.
Mm-hmm.
They
were kids, man.
Any
What is this? Various
any fruit intake?
absolute fucking idiots.
Alcohol-free something.
IPA.
Because they're all fresh.
Well, then
so.
it'd be called the AFIPA.
David.
Andrew found
Insulin.
Yay for Andrew.
Well done, Andrew. So
how much did you hate this record, guys?
Absolutely fucking incredibly. No, actually, honestly, not at all. I didn't hate it. I have almost never listened to AFI, other than, as it turns out, having now gotten their entire back catalogue because I'm so dedicated to the cause and listened to every goddamn thing in that back catalogue.
Wow.
It turns out there are a number of things
Songs you'll have heard
by them that I do recognise, and none of them are particularly good. But that's the ones I recognise. Within that back catalogue, I did find stuff that I actually really quite liked. Which is the bit where you're going to be annoyed at me.
See, my opinion on this band is that I tend to think of AFI as being two completely separate bands from when they signed to a major label. So I think some of the stuff they've done on a major label is actually quite good as well.
Which?
Sing the Sorrow, I think, is a really good record. The one, their first major label
it's still
debut.
like a punky record.
It still is. I think December Underground
it's
is
got a lot of
kind
synths on it.
Yeah, but it's still got the punky drum beat and all that going on.
December Underground is kind of interesting. I think it's got a lot of shitty songs on it, but I think it's got a lot of good songs on it.
Famous songs in it. It's got
Miss Murder on it.
Miss Murder, which apparently debuted at number 1 in the States.
No, I really didn't enjoy Miss Murder.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's like by far their most played song on Spotify.
It's also one of the weakest songs by like a good long
It's really
way.
shit. It's got that sort of cod like a slightly reggae feel.
You know,
or something,
it sounds
and
exactly like that era of like commercialized
Absolutely.
emo punk,
Mhm.
Good Charlotte shit that just was
it was
everywhere.
post American Idiot. Like
Yeah,
basically
totally.
everybody had seen, holy fuck, Green Day are literally the biggest band in the world right now. Somehow after American Idiot and that had come out, and everybody was just like, obviously every major label and every band that had followed them and toured with them and you know come through that punk scene had gone, fuck, we could all make our money and settle comfortably and be rock stars, which is I think what, you know, and it's fair play. You know, I think this is what we quite often talk about is, you know, bands air quote selling out.
Yeah.
AFI,
Real
to be fair to
people.
them, have been accused of selling out twice because they got accused of selling out when they signed to Nitro,
Which is insane.
and then they got accused of selling out when they signed
It was
to
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks, as in like which is bizarrely a record label started by Steven Spielberg,
Yeah.
David Geffen, and what's that guy's name? Katzenberg,
Mhm.
Jeff Katzenberg.
And then it went, I think they only lasted for a couple of years and they went bust.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
they
ended up-
got bought by David Geffen, I think, the actual record company.
we should probably do some due diligence on the band themselves.
Mm-hmm. Formed in 1991.
91. It was Adam
Carson,
Carson and
Davey Havoc.
Davey Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
Davey Havoc. Dave, that actually should have been your name.
Yeah.
And to be
I know,
fair,
I'm really annoyed that it
as
was
somebody
taken.
that has seen you in various states of undress and intoxication, you could easily have lived up to that.
Mhm. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but those
Jeff
guys were in it from the
Keys.
start, and then it was it Hunter Bargain and
Turner Burger and Jade Purgett.
Bargain Hunter.
Bargain Hunter and Jade Puget.
Purgett. Mm-hmm.
But they joined 97, 98, just before the album that we're doing actually, and that's
Kind of solidified their sound.
that's
really.
remained as the album. We never actually mentioned that last week about how that's 2 in a row where the bands have more or less, a Strapping Young Lad, they stayed with that same lineup as well.
Yeah.
And this is AFI, more or less stayed with the same lineup for the majority of the stuff they did, yeah.
I think Jade
impressive.
is particularly, you can hear Jade's influence on the guitar work straight away, like on this record. Like it sounds noticeably darker and the chords are a lot more interesting than the stuff that's come before. I think him and Davey make a really good pairing, and that's explored throughout their catalogue, you know, from this record onwards.
Did the two of them not start a side project?
Yeah, they did Black Audio.
Black Audio.
Which is really interesting. This is the thing I find really interesting about when AFI signed to a major label, right? Is like, obviously on their records they still had a lot of that synth poppy kind of feel, and they also still were playing a little bit with hardcore too. But they both also made bands to explore those things separately. So Black Audio. And then Exterminator, I think there was the straight edge hardcore band that Davey Havoc
That's
and
right.
Jade Purchase started, and it's like properly fucking like militant straight edge hardcore. You know,
I think it's interesting as well.
Extremist.
Extremist.
That's it. Yeah.
I think a bit like the Strapping Young Lad thing we did last week, the side projects and the other projects then bleed back into the debatably the main project, and so the stuff that they were doing with the synthy poppy rocky stuff started to become a bigger and bigger and bigger part of AFI, who'd transitioned from something at the start that sounds like, okay, the vocals are different, but like Moments of Bad Religion, then they kind of get to a kind of point where they sound a bit like Pennywise.
Yeah. And it's a bit Misfits after that.
Misfits, yeah. And then it goes all the way through to becoming it like there's stuff later on that's like getting into Depeche Mode territory.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Like the Cure and Depeche Mode, basically, like a lot of that.
And that's a pretty fascinating.
I thought so.
It's a pretty fascinating sort of
Evolution.
I I'm not sure all of it works.
Yeah, they're definitely guilty of that as in their later career, of just throwing stuff at the wall and spending so long writing records and writing so many songs. Like, I think for December Underground they wrote something like 40 songs for it.
Yeah, but I have to be honest, I fucking hated that album.
I don't think it's definitely the weakest album for me, and I'm including like Answer That and Stay Fashionable, their first record, which is I think it's got a lot of really good
Do you know,
immature punk songs, but it's quite
I went into December Underground because, you know, it's got that massive track Miss Murder on it, and it's the one that sort of really fucking hit them into the mainstream.
Yeah, it's really turgid, man. It goes nowhere.
I really expected it to be better at what it was.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, I was quite happy it wasn't going to be a pop punk record or, you know, a hardcore punk record anymore. But it's not even good at being a dark glam pop rock record.
It does have some good songs.
I honestly feel like that album sounds like it was slightly committee written. I feel like people clicked that the band had a potential to be one of those people riding on the coattails of the punk explosion, and there was a lot of outside influence brought to bear on the band because it sounds very diluted. Like, it lacks a sense of identity, and no matter what you say about AFI and some of their other records, they seem like they have a strong sense of identity. Even if that identity changes quite a bit, they kind of go for a specific thing, and that kind of era of them especially just really didn't work for me. I have to be honest, I really disliked Singing Sorrows as well. I thought it was really unremarkable, but to try and get a bit of a gauge in this, I get a bit of context, I looked up a few of the kind of, you know, the fan lists and best of lists, and I noticed Ranker had Sing the Sorrows at number 1, This One Black Sails at number 2, The Art of Drowning at number 3, which was one that a lot of people had mentioned.
I think that record is really, really patchy.
Right, but it seems to be something of a fan favourite though, looking through the forums.
I think it was the one that came at that point in their career and just hit gothy teenage kids.
Yeah, well, this is the
perfectly. It was like, what's that shop in America?
Hot Topic.
Hot Topic.
That's interesting, because like The Days of the Phoenix, which is the big single that still gets played at rock clubs to this day, was on that record.
It's a great song.
This is also the record when they started touring with bigger bands. Like, this band are actually the second band that I've ever seen live, because the first gig I was ever at was The Offspring, the SCCC, and they were supporting them, and they were on second, and it was on this tour cycle for this record.
Yeah.
And they obviously, because they were touring with bigger bands, they got a higher profile, and I think that's when Kevin came calling, because their next record was obviously Sing the Sorrow. You know, it's
actually, it's weird Dave says that, because I found a couple of reviews, and one of them used the phrase describing Davey Havok at that kind of era as a hair metal pin-up for the Hot Topic era.
Well, yeah.
And a cross between Morrissey and Bret Michaels. Yeah,
because he totally had that like post-Misfits. He's a fucking handsome lad.
Yes.
Handsome, skinny, pale lad. So, you know, he definitely is a pin-up for a lot of teenage girls with black and white socks.
You see him now?
Black and pink.
No,
he looks like he's fucking coiffured, and he's blacked out all his arms completely, and he's built like a fucking tank now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wears like fucking super tight trousers and tries to be like fucking Morrissey on stage.
We're in
floral shirts and all that.
Gym culture era now. Like, everybody, even Devin Townsend, he's fucking ripped now as well.
Yes, he's pretty big now.
Well,
I made like a brief note on almost all of these goddamn albums. By the way, I used to get AFI and Alkaline Trio so hopelessly mixed up. Like,
two completely different bands.
Oh, but
they both.
I'm not the only one, by the way, because I was asking folk, and they were like, "Yeah, man, I really don't know the difference." And they both did the little goth curl at the front for a while.
They looked very similar.
Yeah, yeah. Fuck you. See,
they sound totally different though.
I'm sure they do.
I was always much more of a fan of Alkaline Trio.
I love Alkaline Trio, so
so the label Nitro, Dexter Holland's label, guy for The Offspring,
who's on this record.
Is he?
Yeah, he does backing vocals in 3 songs.
It does have big licks of Offspring in it. That makes sense.
And Offspring actually covered Total Immortal, which is the EP between this and The Art of Drowning, and it has the song Total Immortal on it, which is probably the best AFI song, I think. And the Offspring covered it for Me, Myself and Irene's soundtrack. And it's exactly the same as the AFI version. There's fucking no difference whatsoever.
Maybe just like pure green-eyed monster, like, oh shit, we should have done that one. That just sounds like us.
Sorry. I mean, you've literally just done my Nexus.
Oh man.
Can we do Nexus?
Yeah, we can do the Nexus now if you want. I can't say I'm looking forward to the music in this one, so whatever shit I throw down here, you're just going to have to deal with. Unless we get a last minute submission from someone, in which case Mark's going to have to overdub who did it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm phoning this in.
Well, I'm phoning in my Nexus. AFI, their song Total Immortal was covered by The Offspring on the Me, Myself and Irene soundtrack, which also featured Breakout by Foo Fighters.
Hey.
Mark, you know what that tells you? It tells you that if you really bothered your arse, you could do a better Nexus each week, right?
See, that's like that. I just did a Mark Nexus.
Yeah,
But that's the correct one though, because it's least number of jumps.
Yeah, no, it is fair. So I nailed it, really.
My Nexus is actually, I'm really pretty psyched about this Nexus.
Okay, go for it.
So, Davey Havoc was in a side project with a guy called Todd Youth who played guitar for Danzig. That it was called Son of Sam.
Oh yeah, I remember that record. That's
They
not
recorded
a bad record.
just the one album. Okay, so Todd Youth, like I say, played guitar with Danzig. Danzig was in the Misfits. The Misfits, bizarrely, at one point in the late 90s, formed a wrestling team in the WCW before it was bought out, alongside a wrestler called Vampiro.
I remember that.
Weirdly,
Channel 5 on Friday nights, they used to show WCW.
Yep.
I used to get
WCW
home.
Nitro. Ironically,
I used to get home,
not ironically at
get
all.
a chippy. They used to have crinkle cut chips. Actually, they were fucking amazing.
This
And
is
a
incredible
cheeseburger.
detail.
And the cheeseburger. This is from Barbecue Bob's and all this. The cheese was in between two burgers, and it was fucking amazing.
That's a clever touch.
And then I would watch WCW Nitro, Robot Wars, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was my Friday night when I was like 11, and it was fucking
It's a
amazing.
good run. Don't you find with the cheese in between the two burgers, and obviously this is back before you were vegan, it's a little bit like a cheese meringue, and maybe the two tops, the top and bottom, would slide about, lubricated by the cheese.
No, because they came kind of frozen like that, I think. Or they did it there, and then they did it on the big grill. It was, they were like the best burgers. Oh man,
What was it called again?
Barbecue Bob's.
There
It
you
then
go.
turned to Taste Buds,
Shout,
and then now it's just a sandwich
gone.
shop.
Let's
It's
try
gone.
and bring them out.
They had a patented barbecue Bob sauce.
Let's bring them out retirement.
I'd love that barbecue Bob sauce one day.
Right, let's see if we can do it. It's
Okay,
not going to
guys.
happen. We've not got enough listeners.
Even Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Talking of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this is like Buffy the Vampire Slayer core. This music.
That is true, yeah. Right, okay, so Matt, the Nexus is now most of the show. Right, hang on. So the Misfits were in WCW along with Vampiro. Vampiro was also in a team with the Insane Clown Posse, by the way, but that's not my Nexus. And likewise, interesting aside, Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein of the Misfits, while he was in WCW, fell in love with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Not him.
That was very progressive of WCW in the mid-90s.
That was a wrong time to like take a breath. Fell in love with the Macho. Sorry, please don't sue me. His legacy. I know you're pretty. He's called Macho after all. The Macho Man Randy Savage's manager and girlfriend, Gorgeous George. They eventually married and formed a musical group called Gorgeous Frankenstein. So there you go.
Great.
Didn't last, to be honest. But anyway, Booker T was also in WCW.
Yeah.
The wrestler Booker T, yeah.
Five-time tag team champion.
Absolutely. And then transitioned into WWE, where he's now a commentator. Within WWE is a little known Devil's Favourite Demon, Kane. Put the organ sound in here, maybe.
The explosion.
So
Kane was always my favourite when I was little.
Oh, Kane's
Because he was
Glenn.
He was just
Glenn.
Big Glenn.
Turns out he's a mad
Big
fucking
Jacobs.
Republican.
He's
Like
he's
most
kind of a
wrestlers.
libertarian Republican, and to that end, this is still the Nexus, by the way, listeners. To that end, Glenn made an appearance on InfoWars with the one and only Alex Jones. So we're getting our alt-right quotient in for the
Yeah,
week.
because we didn't really have one
Didn't
last
really
week.
have one last
actually.
week. No, we were negligent.
Can you do me a favour? Say when you say Alex Jones, can you beep his name out?
Yeah, please. He doesn't exist.
Says having a bit of a tizzy fit right now. I'm a big fan of the podcast Knowledge Fight, and it's basically a show just about Infowars and Alex Jones, and it's brilliant. And so he is not doing well. But Alex Jones did an interview with Kane, aka Glenn
Jacobs.
Glenn.
There's one with Rowdy Roddy Piper, which is terrifying. Good, bad, awful. Alex seems to think that they live and its hidden messages was exactly what he was saying all along. Anyway, Infowars also did an interview with Gavin McInnes, the guy that came from Vice TV, Vice magazine.
Oh yeah,
started that whole page where they make fun of people in pictures that is now just completely tone deaf to this era, even just in a short while. And Gavin McInnes did this interview with Infowars where Alex basically complained about being kicked off social media for the entire thing, and Gavin was like, "Oh, Alex, that's terrible." Gavin's a knob, by the way, who started a thing called the Proud Boys, which is kind of men's rights sort of red pill incel kind of community thing. Gavin McInnes also interviewed Jesse Hughes for a thing called Taki magazine about the Bataclan. Jesse Hughes, who believes that the Muslim bodyguards in the Bataclan conspired with the terrorists to let them come in and shoot them, as well as most of the crowd, who also feels that the biggest problem was that there weren't enough guns, and who is genuinely all round a fucking arsehole. And one of the people I hate the most in music, and by proxy, I've really gone off Josh Homme because of that as well. It's really difficult to just give that guy a pass. But Jesse Hughes did this interview with Gavin McInnes. Jesse Hughes and the Eagles of Death Metal. Dave Grohl appeared to his eternal shame, and still does really, in the Eagles of Death Metal video I Want You So Hard, and he also plays with them live. Dave Grohl, if you ever hear this, yeah, we take the piss, you're probably a lovely dude, but that is non-negotiable. Jesse Hughes is a fucking cock, and you need to cut the ties, man. Anyway, here's Nexus music. Let's have a show.
I've done one.
Oh, fuck. Okay, Mark's got one. Sorry, guys. There you go.
So yours is actually the same as mine.
There we go.
Up to a point. Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein was in WCW, and in WCW was also a thing called the Kiss Demon, which is the band Kiss had in WCW. And as we all know, Dave Grohl loves Kiss and regularly covers Kiss songs live. So
yeah, I was going to say he has to cover them because just loving them. I mean, I love Kiss. I don't have a connection to them. It's not one job.
Yeah, regularly cover them live. So
all right, so there you go. Now back to the regularly advertised program, I suppose.
Thanks a lot. I loved that though. There was so many.
That was
points.
A Weaver-esque Nexus.
Yeah,
it was.
Thanks, lads.
So Ranker also had Shut Your Mouth at number 4 on that list.
Okay.
Best Ever Albums, the website, which is actually pretty handy for some of this stuff because it's based on it's kind of a metadata thing. They had Sing the Sorrows at number 1. They had December Underground at number 2. Art of Drowning at number 3. They had Very Proud of Ya at number 4, and then Black Sails at number 5. And key to the feature discussion, they also had Burials at number 10 out of 10. Loudwire had Black Sails, this one at number 6 on that list. And I think sometimes it's interesting to see where our pick falls in the context of fan reactions and the people that are really
and critical reaction as well.
Yeah, and critical reaction. I read through a lot of the fan forums, and yeah, obviously they're pretty spread. It seems like there's a hardcore group of fans who I assume you're one of, Mark, that are really into the first 4 albums, which are
actually kind of the first, kind of the, like this, that are Drowning, a bit of Shut Your Mouth, Open Your Eyes, but it's kind of this bridging era. I like a lot of their stuff, man. I never listened to Answer That and Stay Fashionable. I very rarely listened to Very Proud of You as well.
think that like that early stuff was a lot more direct. It's a lot more straight up punk, and it seems like there's a kind of hardcore of their crowd that are pretty into that. Then you've got that sort of period where they started to get popular, where it was the transitional stuff that you're talking about, Sing the Sorrows as well, under that. Then they go into the kind of later period where they start to experiment with the synth stuff, and it's quite eclectic. And here's the thing, I listen through their back catalogue, I find much of their back catalogue very samey. Thing is, I'm trying to be diplomatic and constructive about this. I love, for example, Full Circle by Pennywise, and Full Circle by Pennywise is interchangeable with a lot of other stuff. For whatever reason, that album really clicked for me. I love a lot of Bad Religion stuff. I'm on the record many times with that. And I'm pretty sure and can appreciate how any one of these records, given that are fairly well executed, could work. Coming at it without that pre-existing adulation is just completely formless to me. Like trying to pick these records apart to scrutinise them and analyse them and find even like footholds of identifiable moments is quite difficult. This was very featureless. It was a thing. It's hard to even call it like a collection. The album is a thing. The music all sounds incredibly similar, and it's very well done, I'm sure, but it doesn't.
You know, I thought I was going to be exactly the same, and on my first 2 listens I was like that. Okay, so this entire first 5 records or first 4 records just go it's just the same drum and blah blah blah, and oh, do you know what? My God, his voice is grating at first.
Yeah.
He said that a lot of people dislike his voice. I didn't think that's I mean, do you think that, you know, these guys are referred to as goth-punk and horror punk amongst other things, which is a bit of a stretch, especially earlier on in their career.
Yeah, it's just punk. It's
just because he has a vocal wobble? Is it literally just that kind of tremolo?
I would say that, like, definitely this record and The Art of Drowning are very Misfits inspired, very kind of dark sounding punk records.
I struggle to hear that until maybe like halfway through Black Sails. I think maybe like Clove Smoke, Catharsis, you start hearing a bit of dynamic in it. But I was going to say, in actual fact, I went back and maybe on like my 3rd listen of this record, I was starting to hear little hooks, and I was getting those footholds that you struggled with.
Yeah,
Chris.
I just couldn't find them. I mean, I do think, see that vocal wobble thing, I think that's identifiable, and it works better when he starts to lean into his singing a bit. It's kind of like that Belinda Carlisle effect. You know, they kind of like, oh,
yeah.
It's got character. I didn't actually find it that annoying, but I really didn't get the strong goth punk or horror punk vibe from it. I mean, certainly
I think it was largely aesthetic, maybe as well.
Yeah, probably would like, definitely probably was aesthetic. Yeah.
Did you guys have any feel like? But we obviously have to skim through the records and stuff. I noticed that the album Crash Love was widely considered to have bombed.
No one will care at all. We can burn and leave, falling on the beautiful things. No one suspects at all. And
when he was asked about it, he blamed it on the fact that MTV was no longer showing as many music videos, and therefore the videos from it were under-supported, as opposed to the fact that it's fairly
quite shite.
Just like, alright, okay, not exactly being objective.
The best songs on that record are the 4 bonus tracks that are written on 2 other records. And I think Medicate is probably one of their best songs as well, because the guitar solo is really weird and so it's quite cool.
I checked out the All Hallows EP. I was told was pretty good. That was kind of like a slightly gothier version of Pennywise. I thought it was pretty strong, actually. Crash Love, I didn't dig. The song on it, Beautiful Thieves, had an alright chorus, albeit it was super cheesy.
Yeah.
There's some synthy stuff in it. It's a bit grandiose. December Underground, like I said, I thought was kind of cack. It's just like
it's just turgid. That's what I've said. It's just
very generic.
Yeah.
Also, they do that thing all the time. You know, that palm mute plucky like. It's just fuck off, man. It's just like it's like a sample rather than an actual playing. What's the one? I've got them all out of sequence here because I can't even remember. Like AFI, the album, the Blood album or something. That's
Yeah,
their
the new
most
one's the
recent
Blood
one, that's
album,
called-
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, again, the really gothy thing and really new romantic. There's a song on it called Aurelia that was alright.
Mhm.
Brought you new change, that bucket in the wrong key. That bucket in the wrong key. That bucket in the wrong
And a track called Above the Bridge, I think, which are the decent moments in it. I'm skipping about, like I say. Very Proud of You. What do you think of that one?
I think it's okay. I see when they play songs from that live, they're usually the best songs they play live.
Quite Bad Religion-y. Like, I thought the
Do
style
they
of-
still play those songs live?
Yeah, they always play they always play a handful of old songs live, yeah. Always.
I just can't imagine how that fits into a set.
It's weird. Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because they've got
especially
songs.
given the new stuff.
Yeah.
They've got songs like Death of Seasons and Kill Caustic on Sing of Sorrow and December Underground, which are heavier songs and kind of closer to being punky.
Yeah.
Medicate's quite fast on Crash Love. Burials can fuck off because it's a shite record.
Uh-oh.
Well, the single on that, 17 Crimes, is like peak AFI, like songwriting genius.
Uh-oh.
It's love like 17. I'm in love with poisoning. Only bring your pretty purple gifts to me. That's love.
And then the new record's got a couple of really heavy bits on it, but it's not really heavy.
Answer that and Stay Friends.
That's not Stay Fashionable. What was the
Fa-
first record?
Stay Friends? Fashionable?
Stay Fashionable, yeah.
Sorry, Fashionable.
You get what I need. I'm not the cure. When passes from them just won't do. Just lick my back as I only do the deal. Smash it up. Break it down. Bring it down. Down to the ground.
That's a very first record, yeah, and it sounds like
It's
a band's
proper punk
first
album.
record.
Like,
yeah.
so it's really gritty. I can totally get why folk be into that. Sing the Sorrow, man. Bigger, kind of pompous. It's really ambitious. I don't know. I mean, that weird synthy intro is pretty OTT that they have. At the start.
They were always really dramatic, man. They've always been really dramatic, but the lyrics, for one, are just I never liked the lyrics that much, to be honest. But super dramatic.
Is it track 2 called The Leaving Song? It really reminded me of the kind of like emotional, melodic post-hardcore stuff like Boy Sets Fire.
Oh my God. Never seen so weak. Wake up, engage. Now you're railed and in range. Used to be so easy.
It's like
Fucking love Boy Sets Fire.
very earnest,
Mhm.
you know, and they're overly earnest at points. It kind of makes you cringe a wee bit. I
Yeah,
think.
totally.
It's more authentically like experimental punk, and it doesn't, like, that album, to its credit, doesn't feel like it's got one eye on commerciality all the time.
Mhm.
Like some of the other, like December Underground, to me feels like it's perpetually got its eye on commercial
Totally.
viability, whereas this one feels like it commits to it a wee bit more. And obviously that song, was it Girls Not Grey?
Mhm.
That's massive. Massive. That is a pure catty, pure cat house anthem, at least for like my peak catty years. I thought Art of Drowning was pretty direct, kind of has a bit Pennywise influence, loads of energy and stuff, but the tracks I thought were really hard to distinguish.
Yeah.
I found it quite formulaic, which I guess brings me to that kind of like the lurking scandal of the fact that I actually think Burials is really good.
Why?
I wasn't expecting that.
I totally. By the way, you and me both. I just thought it had some really, really good songs in it. Is it Greater Than 84? Maybe
Greater Than 84, yeah.
Final track is excellent. Really good melody. It's obviously very synthy, and it's cheesy. It's not something I would overly listen to, but in terms of like sitting and appraising it on its merits, it's really well written. There's some very good choruses. The one 17
Crimes.
Yeah, that's really good. I think it was the names are escaping me because they've got so many records. Tracks 3 and 4 I thought were both really good.
It's consuming me, deliberate and deep. I can't take
both really strong. I was actually really impressed with that album, and I'd read nothing but bad things about it, including it being 10 out of 10 on that list of their best albums, and I was like, shit. Like,
I think,
and I'm not just trying to be,
contrary.
Honestly, I thought it was really quite good.
I think it's because they lean heavily on synth on that record for the first time and properly in their career. I think there's a lot of it in December Underground, but it's a completely different vibe to this.
Now I can't speak your name. I face destruction and you just kill me and
Honestly, I just thought it was really pretty well written. And there was moments on it that reminded me of like that kind of enthusiasm that I felt when I listened to like White Crosses, for example, by Against Me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was taken aback that I liked it, and I was even more taken aback by the fact when I started looking through the lists, I was like, ah, shit.
Hi guys, sorry for butting in at this inopportune moment to talk about money, but
Crucial stage.
we all have to do it. If you're behind this podcast, then give us a little bit of money. We need to pay for things like hosting and recording space, and although we do have all of our gear, which is great, we also still need to pay to make this thing actually run on an ongoing basis.
So when you guys helped us get hold of things like the mics and the recording equipment, we've had a few comments in saying that the quality's improved, and that is fantastic, and that's down to the donations that we've received. We can continue to improve the quality of it with your support.
And if you don't do that, we might need to get corporate sponsors, and you don't want to hear adverts, because I don't want to fucking do that.
I don't want to
More to the
put
point,
adverts on.
I don't want to be told that I can't swear.
I just wanted to be able to say cunt a lot. That's all I want.
Do you know what? I was going to message you guys and say, have we ever said cunt? Am I allowed to say cunt on the show? Now we've done it 3 or 4 times.
Say
Why-
cunt,
why
because we're
wouldn't
not
you say
sponsored by
cunt?
anybody.
I don't know.
I
Well,
just didn't know if we'd crossed that.
Rubicon.
if you would like to sponsor our ongoing voyage of
I
saying
know
the
a
word
word we can.
cunt in every single fucking episode,
I know a
then
word we're
please
not
give
allowed
us
to
the money.
say. Remember that word? Beep!
Is that Alex Jones?
Alex Jones.
Nah, I'm pretty sure it was something to do with Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
We don't want to go down that road again, so just give us some money to shut Chris up, thanks.
Yeah, because he's a
Well, it was
cunt.
about his songs. It was like about him.
Right.
Jesus, guys.
Shut up, you cunt.
But yeah, I mean, as regards this album, Mark, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, I can certainly do that. We can
'Cause
also.
I could probably summarise this album in about 4 lines, man. I thought,
Or just with a drum beat.
yeah. I mean, I thought that track 4, Malleus,
Malleus Maleficarum.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. The chorus was alright. There's a lot of like Billy Idol in this, like loads of like, or his band, was it Generation X, his band? There's loads of that, and yeah, there's
I really like the backing vocals and the chorus on Narrative of Soul Against Soul.
that's.
By the way, until you start really listening through AFI, do you think they realise how often they've done whoa,
Yeah.
like 6 tracks on every album minimum?
Yeah,
That-
most of the first half of this record has it on every single song. That's fine though.
it gets so old. I mean, do you never think they're like, wait a minute, have we done this before? Like 10 albums into their career, wait a minute, have we done this before?
Do you know, see, for this record, I'm kind of like you. I don't know how to judge it. Like, I feel like I'm out of step. I feel like when Alan Partridge is judging the vegetables at the town fair, and he just looks at it and he's like, I mean, yeah, it's big. I'm listening to this and I'm like, yeah, it's got the chorus.
Yeah.
Yep, it's got the fast bit. Oh, it's got the
functional
wail.
parts of a song.
Yeah, oh yeah, that
Can hear the drums. Check.
yeah, that's certainly what I thought at first, although I did kind of feel myself getting those bits a little bit.
So what's the doubt for you then?
I suppose, like, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this song's really complicated. They're doing a lot of things in it, but turned out it was because I'd listened to 8 tracks in a row. I just thought it was one long song. I was like, oh wait, hang on.
The prosecution rests.
Exsanguination, I quite liked. There's wee bits sort of started coming through. I mean, Clove Smoke Catharsis is the one that's like, oh, this is maybe something slightly more than just a hardcore record.
Yeah.
This is the first album where they did kind of slightly longer songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's like they started to kind of push the track length and be a bit more indulgent.
Yeah, this record's 49 minutes long.
And then...
Given that you shat...
Yeah, you shat on 39 minutes.
39 minutes for Strapping Young Lads.
And then God Called In Sick Today, I realised was on a Kerrang punk compilation.
I thought I recognised it.
And that was I think that was probably the first time I ever heard AFI.
I don't think that song's aged particularly well.
It's really kind of ballady and it's weird that it was on a punk compilation because it's the least punk on this album.
They always used to do stuff for that at the end of records, to have like a slow song at the very end. They've got Morning Star at the end of The Art of Drowning as well.
I thought that was the one that really proved that they have been listening to Depeche Mode and like 80s balladry, and that they also are able to convert that into a sort of memorable chorus and things like that, which they then move forward with. But before that, it's only tiny little clips of melody that you get that are kind of overshone by his fucking vocal the entire way through.
His voice is really interesting because he actually damaged his throat by singing that way. That's why his voice sounded different from Sing the Sorrow onwards. He actually blew out his throat and went and got lessons. That's why he doesn't sing like that anymore. But that's why when he actually screams, it's an actual scream now on records too.
God, it's a pure miasma of samey chops, but there was a couple of the records I noticed that he was doing like a much more hardcore, gruff, shouty thing on a couple of them, but God knows, it's lost in a sea of whatever.
Beige.
I thought the 5th track in this one, Narrative of Soul Against Soul, was pretty decent. I thought that was one of the kind of standout tunes.
The Last Kiss is my favourite song on this record. I love that song.
I mean, I told you I was probably going to take a nap during this episode, and I am frankly exhausted from feigning enthusiasm. I mean, I don't think it's as bad by any means whatsoever, and I'm pretty certain that if I'd got it at the right time, much in the same way as other very sort of samey punk records, I love them. There are records out there that I'm like, I have no illusions. They're not reinventing the wheel. They're just, for whatever reason, they really jump out to me, and I can see that would happen, or could easily happen with this. But coming at it cold, coming at it from the perspective, even try to put my mind in the mind of the listeners, it's like, if I'm saying, why don't you go and listen to this album, it's going to really jump out to you. Honestly, man, I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I don't think this album has enough of those footholds that it took Dave so long to try and find them. I just don't think it has that depth in there. I do think some of the other stuff's far more interesting, and like I said, perversely, I actually think the album that most people deride, Burials, is pretty fucking decent. But I don't know. I don't see this as being classic, but I, as Dave said, am staring at vegetables at the county fair.
I can see how you would want to have this as the sort of defining underrated one, though, just because it's the one that they started to show that they knew what a melody was. It's the one where they started to sort of maybe embrace their aesthetic as well before going on to become emo goth pin-ups. They sort of, they were one of those defining bands of that entire look and scene. They were a big cultural influence, I think. And so I suppose they are an important band, and then maybe this is the record that obviously means a lot to you and moved them on. So
this is probably where I put my cards on the table. I do enjoy this record.
Oh my God, is Mark going to not downvote his own album, you fucking sick bastard?
But what I found when I was listening to it, like scrutinising, it's like you did with the tune you were saying a couple of weeks ago, right? It's like when you start to look at it a bit more closely and think about it from a different perspective, it kind of changes the way you look at it, right? Like, this wasn't the first AFI record I heard. That was actually The Art of Drowning, which I bought because it was the only one that was available in HMV. And then I found this in Avalanche, and I got it, and I fucking loved it, and I absolutely spun the hell out of it. I've always carried it with me. It's my favourite AFI record because it's in between being really direct and also being kind of more ambitious. It's like that space where they're a band who have just got new members, they feel completely rejuvenated, they're trying new things and they're trying to push themselves in completely new directions, which were definitely hinted at on Shut Your Mouth and Open Your Eyes. So it's like New Patron Saints and Angels and all that. I've got the same kind of vibe as this, even though it's a different, songwriting unit. But I did notice I noticed it when I was like, I think I started listening to it properly again for the first time and thinking about it in the sense of like, well, let's be critical. I don't know, it was weird because I don't think that they've ever written a consistent record. My opinion had always been they've never written a consistent record since this one. That's what my opinion had always been until I sat down and listened to this properly. Apart from Sing of Sorrow, which I think is probably their most consistent album in terms of good songs, but this still has a lot of misfires on it, and I think they're great songwriters that are capable of writing really great songs, and I thought this record was that, but it's not. As I was like putting it through my mind and thinking how it was constructed and the way the songs are composed, it is all very, very samey. I think if we're going to think about the unsung record from AFI, this record would probably be it, because it's probably their kind of defining change, like David said. But it just didn't hit me the same way it used to when I was younger, and it was really quite sad. It kind of felt as though, as you grow older, like you kind of look back in your life and you kind of see parts of your youth kind of like fade away, right?
Oh my god,
it's true.
I'm going to fade up violin music very gently in the background.
It's true though, right? And like lots of bands that I used to like, I kind of get that with, and this was kind of like seeing the last part of that die away as well, and it was really fucking sad.
Oh no.
Jesus Christ, we
we just destroyed a childhood there. We didn't even do it. He did it himself.
Myself.
Fucking hell.
Ken Loach did the unsung podcast.
But that's what happens, right? Like your opinion changes on things as you grow older. And I think it's really difficult for people to...
You're only a week older than when you said it.
But I think, no, seriously though, I think it's really difficult for people to accept and recognise that change in anything as they grow older.
No, you're right. You're being objective and that's fair.
And I think...
Yeah, and it is interesting.
Is interesting for this podcast, and also a really good reflection on how we connect with music as we grow up.
But it's also very interesting considering we now live in an age of nostalgia and oversaturated nostalgia and about how everything, from the past is great, and if you have fucking new metal nights and stuff like that, and everything's ironic.
Yeah, but we're woke.
But Mark has seen past that nostalgia and realised the kids were wrong.
Mark has seen past that nostalgia and realised everything's a lie and we all die.
Yeah. I already knew that part. That's not fucking
it is goth-punk after all.
Totally, yeah. I guess that's actually stayed with me in that sense.
All right, well, I don't think it's got hope in hell.
I don't think, people who like AFI are probably going to go either this or Sing the Sorrow. That's the way they're going to vote, right? I would be happy with this record going in, but I'm under no illusions about the fact that rose-tinted glasses kind of made me choose this record, and having to reflect upon that,
which have apparently since smashed.
Yeah, they have been smashed thoroughly by myself at my own hand, no less.
He's taken off those glasses and he's putting on the Roddy Piper They Live glasses.
I'm seeing Alex Jones.
Yeah. He's literally red pilled.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I still like this record, but it's just not the record I thought it used to be.
All right, there you go.
That's fair. It happens.
Sad ending to the episode. Really.
But an important life lesson nonetheless.
Well, if you, like Mark, have experienced similar disillusionment with an album you used to love, please call. Numbers will be provided somewhere.
Well, on that quite sad note,
what are we doing next week, Chris?
Well, a suitably sad and possibly morose and inward-looking record, Spirit of Eden by Talk Talk.
Jesus.
But it's also, I can't wait to do this record. It's like the definition of an unsung record as well. Certainly at the time. It's very different from the last two records as well, in many ways.
Yep.
That's great.
So I can't bloody wait.
I'm excited to hear it. Go and vote on this record.
You've clearly not heard it.
Yeah, I've never heard it. I've never heard Talk Talk before. I'll probably have in passing.
You'll know at least one song.
Yeah, so go and vote on this record, and it's really helpful to us if you can share this podcast with your friends. So if you've got a punk or a former punk like me who likes
An ex-community
reformed punk like me, if you've got anybody you think might like this episode or any of our past episodes, then please just ask them and give it a listen.
And if you don't
all
have
we ask.
anybody, don't suffer in silence like Mark. Reach out.
And hire a friend. Cheers, guys.
Thanks a lot.